Take 3. Okay, relationships. Relationships equal friendship. As somebody who is ASD, friendships aren't always easy to come by. And it sort of comes down to understanding what a friend is and then trying to work out, well, how does that actually really relate through to meeting the right woman? So, first couple of questions. Do you have friends? What is a friend? Um, if you do have friends, well, it's actually going to be a lot easier because you already understand the basic concept of relationships. So, let's go with what is a friend? A friend is a person who you want to spend time with. You don't need to talk to them all the time. You don't need to talk to them every day. Heck, I've got friends that I haven't spoken to in years, but I think about them all the time. Well, maybe not all the time. I think about them on and off, and I actually miss them. I miss spending time with these people who, well, yeah, I care about. I care what happens in their lives, even if I haven't actually spoken to them for a long time. I know that when I go and see them, it will be as if I saw them yesterday, even though it's been 5 years since the last time I saw them. So, friendship is really a form of relationship. You see them as in a similar way to what you might see your family. It's sort of they're good there. That you know that you actually enjoy their company. So, what if you don't have any friends? I can probably count my friends on one hand. It's sort of I have plenty of acquaintances, but if I actually went through a friendship list, I would. Well, I'd still have spare fingers off my off one hand. So, yeah. I won't say that I'm an overly friendly person. It's not through any fault of mine, but I just find it difficult to maintain friendships. So the chances of me meeting somebody should be very, very slim, especially somebody I want to spend my entire life with, somebody I consider to be as close to me as what I am. And I think that's the whole thing. I've got to actually like myself. You've got to like yourself before somebody else can like you too. So when I met my wife, I was going through a bit of a dark place. Allowed me to explore, if you like, sexuality, because of the fact that I discovered that being an Aspie, I had actually taught myself to read people's expressions and their emotions pretty well, even though I didn't actually necessarily understand them. I could, within a few minutes, work out if a female was going to be, in my situation, as I said, I'm a heterosexual, so I will talk about my relationships in the heterosexual format, but it will apply equally to whether or not you're same sex or whether or not you're a female looking for a male. It's pretty well, reality is the chemistry, if you can call it that, the ability to read somebody else is there. So you can use it if you really want to use it. You have to end up learn how to mask. Now you can actually end up learn how to actually read through other people's masks. So okay. As I said, I was exploring. I met my wife. she had to learn to trust me with all my little imperfections, and I had to learn to trust her. And I couldn't have done that had I not learnt to start to trust myself, and learn to actually appreciate myself. It also allows us to spend time apart without actually necessarily relying on each other to be there 100% of the time, because I enjoy time with myself and she enjoys her time with herself, and we also enjoy our time together. So, before we get much further into this, because I'm talking about long-term relationships here, let's get the dirty and nasty out of the way. So, if you just want to get laid, go to the pub, go to any sort of meeting place, nightclub, whatever it is that floats your boat. Go to the bar, stand there, sit there, whatever turns you on. Have a drink. Sooner or later, someone will walk up to you, male, female, makes no difference. Everybody eventually comes over and has a chat to the person who is just sitting there. They want to know who you are, why you're there. The trick is, don't do the talking. Get them to do the talking if you so desire. If you are watching them and believes that they are mainly after a one-night stand, then cut to the chase and ask, do you just want to end up go back to my room? Or do you want to go back to your room? And you'd actually be surprised how often the answer is yes. Back in my army days, a mate of mine went down to one of our major shopping precincts and stood there with a clipboard in his hand and a series of so-called questions. And some of the questions were, do you believe in love at first sight? If you felt strongly attracted towards someone, would you consider taking them back to your place, or would you go back to their place? And the next question was, do you find me attractive? If they had answered yes to each one of the previous ones, his next question was, well, do you want to come back to my place? And he had a very, very successful hit rate. So, yeah, it's as simple as that. If you just want to get laid, it takes no ability at all. Just make sure you wear protection. Carry the protection. Make sure that you make sure you're safe, okay? But it'll give you some experiences. It will allow you to experiment. You're an ASPE, therefore, read up on the subject, learn as much as you can about different positions, different female parts of the anatomy, make use of your skills. And you will be surprised how often the one-night stand decides that they want to actually make it a two-night stand or whatever. Possibly not the sort of person you want to actually get into a relationship with, but hey, that's up to you. Chances are you'll get burnt if you do get into a relationship with someone like that. So, that's the easy one. Long-term relationships. Well, they're a lot harder. You really do have to be comfortable with yourself. You've got to know that, well, there's an old saying, you've got to love yourself. And that really does stand true. If you don't love yourself, it's difficult for somebody else to love you. They'll probably find reasons to love you, and it's up to you whether or not you're going to actually be lovable. So you've got to understand what you enjoy doing, and you've got to find somebody who also enjoys doing some of those things as well. As I said, there's together time and there's apart time. You want to actually have a balance of both so you don't burn yourself out. If you do go out with them and you find that you're really enjoying their company, and they can appreciate all your little quirks, and you look forward to seeing them again, chances are you're starting to get into a friendship, potentially a relationship zone. It's important that both you understand what it is that you want out of this particular relationship. Just friendship, or do you want to develop the relationship further? If you have a miscommunication on that, it can become very, very awkward later, because they only want a friendship and you're after a relationship. The moment you end up lean in to give them a kiss, you're likely to get yourself a slap. Trust me, it's happened to me. But if you are genuinely both wanting to seek out a relationship that goes past a basic friendship, then start to explore that opportunity. Start to explore what that actually means for you in your culture, in your community, in your faith. Because some people won't become intimate until after they're married. It's very difficult to understand how you're going to be compatible before that, but that's just the way it is with some people. Some cultures, you can put the female at a higher risk of being disowned by their family, their community, their culture. Is it really worth it if the relationship doesn't go anywhere? So you've really got to end up give serious consideration to that. As I said, we can't always take everything into consideration, but if we understand what we're playing with, then we can work out what we're prepared to risk and what we're prepared to let the other person risk. That's something that does need discussion between the two of you. There's an old saying that women want a bloke who's strong, powerful, can protect them, can make money for them. What a load of crap. A lot of women out there are more than capable of taking care of themselves, more than capable of making a lot more money than what you probably can. So, who are you? Get off your high horse if that's what you think. It is about finding somebody who is going to be a really good friend, and somebody you can actually see as, well, I see my wife as somebody who's a lot better than me. She sees me as somebody who's a lot better than me. Not better than her. But as far as that's concerned, we both admire their strengths in the other, and we both accept the weaknesses in the other. And because of that, there is no competition about who's better. It's just that we both see each other as being perfect for us. And that's, if we want to get down to the Aspie side of it, anything above about 85% is really, really good. I once had a welfare bloke end up explaining to me anything above 50% is typical. I don't like being a 50-50 proposition. I want something that's pretty well A grade. So anything above about 85% is definitely something I'm interested in. So, yeah, us blokes, just getting back onto the stupidity of, if you like, the age-old, what do they call it, the reptilian brain, the medulla, that looks for a mate according to their ability to provide, or in our case, looking at females, the ability to bear children and to feed them. Again, like, really? Okay. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind a girl with a nice set of hips and a good cleavage, but it's got nothing to do with childbirth, I can tell you. So, it's a lot of what we get programmed for is a lot of crap. What we're really looking for is somebody who actually ticks our boxes. We need to sit down and write a list of what we're looking for, what we enjoy doing, and then start to look for a person who enjoys doing a lot of what we do and ticks most of those boxes. It really is that simple. So you will find that person. They'll feel like a part of your family, and that can be confusing in its own right, because you're sexually attracted to this person potentially, and all of a sudden they are a person that you feel as if they are your best friend, your relative, and yeah, that's when you know that you're actually heading down the right path, because it means that you're actually in love with the person, even though you might not necessarily understand what love is. And they definitely love you because they're spending the time there to actually develop that relationship with you. Intimacy. Well, as Aspies, it can be difficult to show our emotions to other people. Sometimes the easiest way for that is via sexual interaction. I know that when I'm sexually active with my partner, she enjoys it, I enjoy it, and I know that we both appreciate the fact that a lot of effort's been put into making sure that we're both satisfied at the end of it. And that, in some regards, is how I measure our love. But intimacy can be so much more. They say that the best intimacy is the passing touch. That's when she might sit on the same couch as you, or you might sit on the same couch as her, and you don't mind being that close that your shoulders are touching, or that you're resting your leg against hers, or she's resting her leg against yours, or putting her foot on top of your foot. All those contacts that normally we'd end up avoid if we could help, we begin to appreciate, we begin to enjoy. Working in the kitchen, pushes past, or instead of it being a, well, how dare they, it's a case of, oh, that's nice that you actually felt their presence, their warmth, just brush past you for a few seconds. That's real intimacy, brushing the hair out of their face. So, yeah, they are things that you can explore with each other. You can actually enjoy. I know this is a hell of a big drift over. There's a lot of information I will burrow down to, but I need some comments back on what's confusing you. So subscribe. Make sure that you end up writing some comments. Any questions you got, because I can talk about me every day of the year quite happily. Advantage of being an Aspie. So the only thing I'll end up with you, because we all do it, and I know that I've had relationships where they've fallen apart because she's made a comment. I've said, no, that's not right. And that is that my wife always says, you can be right or you can be happy. Now, as an Aspie, I can't be wrong and be happy. So rather than getting into arguments, sometimes it's just better to actually explain that it's not you end up having a shot at them. It's not you end up wanting to prove them wrong. It's just that you want to be happy knowing that you're not wrong. So when you explain it in those terms, it's a little bit easier for them to understand. Best bit of advice, communicate. Talk through anything that worries you, because chances are you possibly read it wrong. And as I said, you don't want to be wrong, especially when it comes to a relationship. Okay. I think I've had enough of a conversation today. I will talk to you again in another day or two.